Well, hello, Stacey Murphy here with a really quick video on growing your winter greens. And I'm very lucky I get to grow my winter greens outdoors in this box. And basically I can cut fresh greens for every meal out of this one box. So that is a continuous source for me. And if it's snowy or cold where you are, if you already have your greens in the ground, no problem. Cover them with a cold frame, keep them warm, keep them from freezing. You can also cover them with plastic. Now, what you need to know is if you don't already have crops in the ground, it's probably a little bit too late for a lot of you because crops only hibernate below those freezing temperatures. They don't actually grow. So you already have to have them in the ground. So what do you do if you don't have winter crops in the ground and you want a continuous source for salads throughout the winter? So one of the things you can do really easily is grow your salad greens indoors. It's really easy. I've done this in Brooklyn, and basically I had a setup like this with a couple of trays of greens and a couple of lights. And this particular image is with a LED light. You can choose fluorescent lights. You can use all spectrum lights. The only recommendation I have is to make sure that the light covers all the way to the edges of those trays, because what you'll find is wherever the light is, that's where the plants will grow, and wherever the light is not, those plants will be stunted. So you can use tea lamps like these shown here. Again, just make sure that the lamps cover those crops completely and that they're a couple inches off of the soil so that that light is really focused on the plants. Now, first I want to show you how to grow greens in a tray. And then basically you're going to take these trays indoors and put them under those lights. So this is me growing in containers outdoors in Brooklyn, and this is where I grow my salad greens. You can see a tray there of, they could be salad greens or braising greens. And braising greens are usually just kale and collard kind of greens, larger, heftier greens that sometimes I'll cook versus eat as a salad. And all I do is I go grab some leftover trays from the nursery. You can grab them for free usually because they aren't always using them. And you might want to set that tray inside of another tray just in case you need to drain some of the water out. So I like having the tray to have holes in it so that it does drain water, and then I like to have something that catches that water just in case I do overwater. And then I take that tray and I basically line it with newspaper just to try to keep that moisture in. And then basically I fill with 1.5 inches deep of potting mix or seed starting mix, whatever I have available. Both will work for this because it's very small greens that we're growing. And I like to go to the store and pick a mix. Sometimes I'll make a homemade mix. If I'm going to pick a mix from the store, I just like to make sure that I recognize the ingredients. I don't want to see the word fertilizer anywhere. I'm okay with things like worm castings, compost. Those are things that will fertilize your plants and help them grow, but I don't want to see the word fertilizer. So these are the types of potting mixes that I've used and seed starting mixes that I've used. And one of the things that I do is I make sure that that mix is moist before planting those seeds. You don't want it to be dry, otherwise when you do go to water, it won't soak the water in. So you want it to be moist like a sponge so that it continuously sucks water in. And it's very important to water these very regularly for them to grow. And what seeds do you use? Well, I just use any leftover seeds that I have from the season so that I can get new seeds for the following season. And so in this tray, I have beets, bok choy, broccoli rabe, cabbage, endive, kohlrabi, radicchio. These are just leftovers. And basically, they have slightly different germination rates. The beets are a little bit slower, but everything else is about the same. And here you can see 4 weeks later what that looks like. And you'll notice that the beets are definitely a little bit smaller in terms of their size. So if you want a continuous supply of these, how does that work? Well, we're going to get to that in just a minute. And so some of the other seeds that work well, you can use your kale, your beet, chard, spinach, arugula. Any mustards will really do. So kale is a mustard, arugula is a type of mustard. You could also be using bok choy, tatsoi. Any of those mustards are going to work well for you. Any lettuces. I like to use radish. The small radish leaves I think are very delicious. Any endives and chia. So those are seeds that work really well under these conditions. And then you can also create your own salad mix. So I did mine where it was separated, and I did that primarily because the germination rates might have been a little bit different, and also I might have, in that case, that was not for winter. I was actually going to take some of those and transplant them into my garden, so I separated them. But you could basically shake all those seeds up in your hand, roll them out into your own salad mix. And if you want a spicy salad mix, I recommend adding some radish seeds, maybe some chive seeds, Basil, dill are great additions to salads. I like to put those into my mixes as well. And peppercress is a really beautiful crinkly leaf that has a nice peppery flavor. So if you want a spicy salad, you can get some seeds and add those in as well. And then basically when you're ready to cut, you basically just cut down to within 1.5 inches of where the seeds are. And usually they'll spring back the next week. So what I do is I harvest twice. When I get to 4 weeks, my plants are usually 3 to 4 inches tall, and I basically cut them down and then I harvest one more week. So I harvest them twice. And so then how do you get a continuous harvest? If that's what you do for one tray, how do you get a continuous harvest? So basically for this setup where you're waiting 4 weeks to harvest, you need 3 trays and you're going to harvest each tray twice. So how it works, you start with empty trays. Week 0, you seed tray 1, all right? Week 2, you're going to seed tray 2. Week 4, you're going to seed tray 3 and you're going to harvest tray 1, all right? So you have your first harvest. The following week, on week 5, you're going to harvest that tray 1 for your second time, and then you're going to immediately reseed it. And you can decide if you think you need new potting mix, you can replace that potting mix. You can replace part of the potting mix, whatever you feel like needs to come out. And then basically in week 6, the next week, you're ready to harvest tray 2. So you have a continuous harvest. You're moving through the trays now. The week 7, you're going to harvest tray 2 for the second time, immediately reseed it, and then so on. So week 8, you're harvesting tray 3. Week 9, you're harvesting tray 3 and reseeding. Week 10, you're back to tray 1, and you just keep going. And that's how you get your continuous harvest. So if you can get a lamp that covers 3 trays, you can have a continuous salad throughout the winter. Now, this may only feed one person through the whole winter with this small setup, possibly 2 people. It also depends how many salads you're eating per day and per week. So how many seeds do you need to do this setup with these 3 trays? And basically what you're doing is every 2 weeks you're reseeding, and what I recommend is about 250 seeds per square foot. And you saw how densely that really that got seeded out. You want a dense lettuce mix. That's what you're after. You want lots of greens. So I recommend this, 250 seeds per square inch. So what does that mean? Well, that means for maybe 4 months of a winter, maybe you have 8 seedings. And if your tray is about 8 inches by 16 inches, which a lot of those trays from the harvest from the nursery are, then that's a little bit less than a square foot. And if you multiply that times your 8 seedings that you're going to do, it's about 7 square feet. You need about 1,750 seeds. So then what you do is you go over to one of your trusted seed sources, and I really like Seeds for Generation. It's a family-run business, and you can take a look at their website and see their kids actually package the seeds for you. It's very amazing, and they basically focus on really beautiful heirloom seeds, gorgeous seeds that really do well. So I love this source, and so what's cool is that their seed packets, if you look, they're arugula seed packets. Here you can see the image of it. Their arugula seed packet has 250 seeds in it. So what that means is you'll need about 7 seed packets if you're ordering from a company like this that packages a good number of seeds in those packets. And that's a great price to get that many seeds in a packet. And you may want to take a look, just for note, at the days, the germination days, because you're going to want to order seeds that have similar germination rates. Some seeds are going to start a little earlier than others. In the end, it doesn't matter as long as your greens come in. Okay, so you can do arugula. You can also take a look, and they have, they have lettuce mixes already prepared. So you don't have to necessarily mix and match your own seeds. You can buy a lettuce mix that's going to work for you. And remember I said add those spicy greens into your salad. Peppercress is available here for Seeds for Generations. They also have basil, dill, chives. Those are all spicy things that you can add, and radish as well. And then you can also get, they do have mixed green seed packet where you get a little bit of a discount and you get a bunch of different packets for one lump sum. And these are all great greens that will grow over the winter. Again, that is if you're doing 4 months of growing, then you're probably going to need about 1,750 seeds. So start thinking about what you want to grow, what's going to be delicious, what's going to be exciting. Maybe go take a look at what's in your cabinet already that's left over from the season and get growing. All right, I'll see you in the next video.